Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona, and here we're going to talk track and field with Mason Rubarczyk. Thanks for being here again today.
Thanks for having us again.
Now, this weekend, you actually got to do the invite that was on your schedule. Weather didn't cancel that out. You're at the UW Stout Open.
Yep.
You had 4 true first place finishes, and then you had a tie for one of the other ones. Tell us in your mind how things went at the Open this week.
I think it went well. Like you said, we won a few events. Maddie, that we're going to have on later in the show, had a great 200 race, ran a great time, and then it's just I don't have a lot to say about it. We just had some good performances, and like we talked about last week, this time of year it's just about training hard, and you go out on the weekend and you compete and try to compete better each time, and obviously you hope that your times improve as the season goes on, and learn a little bit more about how to compete the best in your event, and go to the next week.
All right, well, let's start with Maddie Peets and talk about her. She's going to be the guest in just a little while, but she won the 200-meter dash. Tell us about that race.
Yeah, she, as I told her, she just really executed well the whole day. She was in the 60 as well, made the final, did well there, and I think a lot of people think there's not a lot of technical aspect to sprinting, and for sure anybody can go and try to run fast, but the thing is we're never taught how to run fast when we're kids, so it's a matter of teaching them how to run properly when they get to college, and Maddie just did a really great job of executing every piece of that race, from the starting blocks to a lot of times sprinters tense up and tighten up if somebody's passing them, or they're trying to reach ahead of somebody. They tense up and think that trying harder is going to make them pass that person. I always tell them, you're already trying as hard as you can.
Right.
Trying harder just makes you tight, and she does a really nice job of staying relaxed and running the race she needed to run, and winning in the end. The girl that got second came in with a better time than Maddie, so to stay relaxed in that kind of scenario, like I told her, is really important to learn how to do at these early season meets, because later in the season it's important to be able to do that again.
All right, 400-meter dash, Brooklyn Shivink?
Shivink, yep.
Shivink was the first place finisher in that, and then she was also part of the 4x400 relay.
Yep. Yeah, Brooklyn is always just a stable, strong part of our quarter mile group. She's only a sophomore, but really is consistent and always does a great job every week out, and just wants to continue to find out how do I get faster and train to get better, and so she's always consistent. We can always count on her.
All right, and then Becca Rickman, who was the guest last week, set a personal record in the mile run, just over 5 minutes.
Yeah, she is continuing to have a great season, getting into the mile there. She generally runs longer. The mile is about as short as she'll ever run, but as she told you last week, she went in with a plan of how she wanted to run the race, and there was actually a girl in the race that she expected to run a lot faster. So she got out and thought, hey, I'll hang on to this girl for a little bit and then we'll see how it goes. Well, 100 meters into the race, she's like, this is ridiculous. So she passed her and took off and just kind of ran the pace that she knew she needed to run, and just had another great race.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And that was a great story about how she got out to the lead last weekend as well.
Yeah.
And then Madison Reisner, who we've had on the show for volleyball, now a track and field athlete, high jump, 1.63 meters. She tied for first place. Can you explain how she tied?
Yeah, so first of all, 1.63 is a personal lifetime best for her, and it's the next bar, so the bar that she went out at would have been our school record. So she's real close, and like you said, volleyball player, so just a great athlete, and she's not even with us the whole year, so just kind of getting started with us. So that was really great this early to jump that well. Yeah, so in the high jump, although the results say that she tied for first, they both cleared the same height, but they go back at the results and see who missed less bars at lower heights. So she got second based on that, but she had the same height as the winner.
Okay, and I want to ask you about meet day, because there were 11 events that you had people participating in at this meet. Kind of give us an inside look at how you organize things as a coach, what you delegate to your other coaches, what you let your athletes do on their own. How does meet day work?
That's one of the really fun things of many, one of the fun things about the job, and certainly field events are a little different than the running events, but I always say about the running events, if I'm doing my job from Monday through Friday, they don't need me for much on Saturday. I'm teaching them the things they need to know. Our warm-up is the same on practice day as it is on meet day. Field events, it's certainly different. They've got multiple attempts, and you're needing to watch, for instance, the long jump. The coach is there watching, hey, where are they on the board? They need to be on the board. If they're over, it's a foul. If they're short, they measure from the board, not where your toe is. So a field event coach has a lot more particulars to do. on a meet day. But for me, it's really about managing the athlete's day. You know, a lot of them do multiple events, so it's a matter of, okay, I finished this event at 1 o'clock, I don't run again until 2:30. What should my warm-up look like, or when do I need to warm up again, or hey, do I have time to eat between events? A lot of the managing the day stuff. But like I said, the athletes, certainly by their sophomore year and definitely junior and senior, they know what's expected of them. They know what it takes to be ready for their event. I always tell them, be the most prepared person when it comes time to take your sweats off. And then those older girls hopefully bringing the freshmen along and showing them, hey, this is how we do meet day. And so it works pretty well.
How do you feel about warm-ups before events? I mean, I guess in track and field, you obviously want to have as much rest as possible so that you're out there and able to perform. So you want to be ready, but you don't want to overexert yourself before your event, right?
Yeah, so by this time of year, they should be fit enough to handle any amount of warm-up. There are times where a meet might fall behind during. They might start their warm-up thinking, hey, I run in 45 minutes, but then the meet gets behind and all of a sudden it's an hour. And then that's another thing where I come in is they say, hey, I'm ready early, what do I do? So it's managing the rest of that time. But no, you make a good point. You want to make sure that they're not overexerting, but one of the most important things that an athlete can do on meet day is warm up right. You know, getting a proper warm-up is really the best way to avoid getting injured. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is it makes sure that their body is primed and ready to go. I mean, you got to fire on all cylinders in a warm-up if you expect that to happen in the competition.
Okay, we're actually kind of running out of time
Yeah.
in this segment. We only have 2 minutes left, but you're now in the Mankato portion of your schedule.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
looking at it. It's interesting. You do the Mark Shuck Open this weekend, Ted Nelson after that, NSIC preview after that, Maverick invite after that, and NSIC championships.
Yep.
It's all in Mankato.
Yep.
So do you rent a place in Mankato and just kind of stay over?
No, it's a short enough drive. No, they've got a great facility. Mike Turgeon, who was our throws coach for 13 years, is the head coach there now. He does an excellent job running meets. So just their location, they run great meets, they've got a great facility, it's just a great place to go for meets. And being that we're so far on the eastern edge of our conference, there's really no D2 schools west of us other than Parkside, and that's farther than we want to go. So just in terms of our location, the quality of the meets they run, the quality of the competition that's there, it just makes sense to be there. So that's why before we get to this part of our schedule, we try to be other places, because we could certainly be at Mankato earlier in the season too. They host a lot of meets. But no, it's like I said, all the ingredients that I look for in a good meet, they have at those meets. And that NSIC preview meet coming up is a brand new meet on the schedule this year. It's going to be a really high caliber meet, and I expect it to be, other than the conference meet, the best meet on our schedule. So that's going to be a fun new addition to our schedule this year.
All right, very good. We're going to take a break here on Warrior Report. When we come back, Maddie Peets will join us right after this.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
So your restaurant's going down the drain.
I don't know what to do.
Stay calm. Gordon's on the way.
Have a taste.
You got a mouse up top, you got some grease down low, you got a dirty refrigerator that's about to blow. You need a chef.
You're in trouble.
To help you shine.
Smell that.
His name is Ramsey and he's coming just in time. So if your diner could be finer, he'll be there for you, Jack. Gordon's 24 hours to hell and back.
A new restaurant in 24 hours.
This is amazing.
That is disgusting.
Tuesdays on Fox, or watch anytime on demand or Fox Now.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. Maddie Peets joins us. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Now you're from Wisconsin, Wittenberg-Burnhamwood High School. Tell us a little bit about your high school days. I know you're a multiple sport athlete and obviously track and field athlete. Tell us about some highlights from your high school career.
I'd say the biggest highlight of my high school career was breaking the state record twice with my 4x4 team. We were 3-time state champions. That was a really special group of girls, so I miss them a lot, but that was really special to run with them for 3 years and win state.
All right. So Coach brought up an interesting thing when we were talking to him kind of off camera, is how people get involved in track and field. For you, I mean, you're a multiple sport athlete, you played basketball, you were cross country, volleyball. How did track and field and cross country kind of get in your wheelhouse?
Track and field, I would say I've always kind of known that I was fast. As you said, a physical education teacher told me, hey, you should try track when you get to 6th grade. So I did and won my first 100-meter dash and been in love with it ever since. Cross country is a little different story. I do not like distance running at all, but it kept me in shape and it helped me for my basketball seasons and it helped me stay in really good shape for track to run that quarter mile too.
All right, so is that why you're not running cross country in college then? You're one of those athletes that don't do that. Tell us a little bit about Maddie and what she brings to the team.
Maddie is just an outstanding individual, just high energy, fun, hard worker, great teammate, all the things that you want in an athlete. And she's a PE major, so she really gets the physical education, just the physical side of it, and the training piece. And obviously a great athlete, you know, fun to have around. I really like people that can run anything from the 100 to the 400. So just having that versatility to be anything from the 4x1 to the 4x4, the 100 to 200 to 400, cover all those things. So, but like I said, we hope that everyone on our team is fast. So it's what else can you bring to the table, and just those other intangible things like leadership and work ethic that are great too.
All right. I saw an interview that you had done while you were in high school, and you were talking about the 400 meters, that was your favorite event, but you have a love-hate relationship with it. Can you kind of explain what that's all about?
For sure. I like it when I'm done because part of me is like, oh, it wasn't that bad. I could do that again. But there's something so scary about standing on the start line waiting to run a full lap, and you're like, can I really do this? Can my body really handle this? But after you finish it, yeah, you can. So that's a love-hate relationship there for sure.
All right, so for you, what's the difference between the shorter sprints and a longer 400?
For me, I'd say now I like the 100 a lot. I'm one of those athletes that takes a little longer to get going. So I need that whole 100 meters to run a good race. And then the 400 is just pedal to the metal the whole time, trying to just make it all the way through, because you round the last corner and you're like, oh, I'm almost done, almost there, and then you cross the finish line and you're finally done.
Now, one of the things Coach said about this week in your race is that you were trying not to run too fast, tried not to overexert. Can you explain that and what that kind of coaching is for you, and what you're kind of thinking when you're out running the 400?
I mean, when you're on the 400, Coach always says, you know, you want to get out fast in the first 50 meters. So for sure doing that, and then it's a maintain, no strain. So trying to stay relaxed until the last 100 meters or so, and then you try to give the rest that you have left. So you just try to stay relaxed as long as you can, and then give it all you got.
All right. What do you do now between now and your next event this weekend? What are some of the things that you work on, train, practice?
For sure, we do starts every week, so just a start is so important in those shorter races, so we do those. And then just making sure that I'm getting the most out of practice every day that I go, and eating right, and making sure I get a good night's sleep so that I can continue to perform the best at every meet.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and good luck in Mankato this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break here on Warrior Report. When we come back, we'll talk gymnastics with head coach Becky Rolbecki right after this.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price. Perfect. Is always in style. At Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-60.
Texas needs someone like you, an outsider, to build something of true excellence.
This crew can't just be good, they gotta be the best.
Oh, the good Lord sure took his sweet time with you, didn't he?
Missed an episode of 911 Lone Star? Catch up anytime.
Fall back! Fall back! 911? What's your emergency?
911 Lone Star, Mondays, or watch anytime on demand or Fox Now.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. Talking gymnastics now. Becky Rolbecki is here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Let's talk a little bit about your last meet against UW Stout. And according to the write-up, you had your highest score of the season. As I looked at the different apparatus scores, they were all a lot higher than your last meet. But from your perspective, how did the meet go?
From my perspective, it was the turnaround meet that I've been waiting to see. I knew that we had the capabilities and I knew that we had the depth, and for these girls to finally decide, hey, competitively, we can own our skills and put it on the floor and show it off to the judges, that is such a vital, important piece to get early on in the season, so now we can build from that. So we do have new players in recovering, or for people that are recovering from illnesses. So, you know, it is a different lineup, and so I think the failures from the meets before were the insecurities about, you know, everybody doing well throughout the lineup, because the ones that were capable felt more pressure to do well, and we've always talked about that. No matter what, it's still your routine. But, you know, we just talked about, hey, let's quit looking at what we don't have and look at what we do have. We have enough to be successful. So let's use that power and clear our heads and get out there and do our thing. So it was a great meet for us, a really good, positive vibe throughout the whole meet, and all 4 squads did their job.
All right, before we get into like the individual and the apparatus things, I want to ask you about wins and losses, because this ends up being a loss against UW Stout. So for dual meets, does it really matter wins and losses in gymnastics, or is it more, well, we did well on beam, we did well on bars, that sort of thing? How do wins and losses work?
The sad part about our arrangement that we have is that wins and losses are really irrelevant, except for a pat on our own backs, because ultimately the only score that matters is when we all get together at regionals. So that's the determining factor whether you make the nationals or not. So that one score on that one given day is really the only thing that matters. So these are building blocks to develop your squad, and obviously there's bragging rights in having a higher win-loss record, but it doesn't matter. I mean, there is no reward or no even an exchange for, you know, getting a better placement for regionals, a start on the event that you like or something like that. So, I mean, truly it is like, we don't look at we need to beat our opponent, we look at we need to beat ourselves. So we had this last week, now let's beat ourselves again. So if you concentrate on trying to beat some of these teams with 6 or 7 great level 10s that got brought in, you know, we're going to feel defeated all the time. So for us to get going, we have to just say, hey, we did this the week before, let's do this again. Now for this week I said, all right girls, we have a 181 now, we have a great base to build from. Let's each of you add a 10th to your routine. I said that gives us a full 2 extra points. That puts us at, you know, 183, and we can continue to grow from there. And when they hear it, oh, I just have to give a better 10th, well, I can point my toes, or I can stick my landing, or I can, you know, hold my handstand better. It's not a big ask then. So that's how we grow from here. But that base score of a 181 is so important for this team so that they can see their capabilities.
All right, let's kind of expand on that about trying to get an extra 10th, because as we said, you know, for a lot of people watching the show, maybe they don't quite understand, like me, all the different things that go into gymnastics. So when you're talking about trying to add an extra 10th, is that doing something better on the apparatus? Is that kind of knowing like what the judges are kind of looking for, because it is a judged event? How does that kind of play into all of working during the week to get better for the next meet?
A lot of our deductions are in the execution of the skills. So doing the skill technically correct, or doing it with better extension or amplitude, and those are all deductions if that doesn't happen. You can also get an extra 10th by connecting a couple of skills together and get a bonus connection, or you can put a value skill in that will give you a 10th for it being a difficult singular skill. So there's a lot of way of adding an extra 10th, but the easiest thing for us to not have to change what they're doing and add new skills at this point, the biggest thing for us is to clean up what we have. So stay tighter, stay cleaner, prettier lines, and stick your landings. And those are easy 10ths to work on now.
All right. Now, earlier in the interview, you said that you want to kind of beat yourself, beat your best that you did before. And your team set a lot of personal bests during this event. Talk about that and what that does for the team to see all these different personal bests being hit.
Well, obviously, if you can get one kid to believe in himself, it's contagious, because then she feeds into the next kid who's up. So it's important, whoever starts the lineup, if they can get in there and they can do their job, the whole squad can go, oh, good, we've got a score to build on. And, you know, that happened on our beam squad. Our top 3 girls went in and took care of their job and did a great job for us. And so the 3 that are rookies felt like, oh, okay, well, that's how it's done. So they followed suit and had the confidence and the grit to fight and to stay on. And so it built a great squad. So, I mean, altogether, it's just feeding off each other with positivity, and that helps the whole squad do well. But we're watching to see who can get a 9-0, who can join the 9-0 club. And so we've had 12 2 meets ago, then last week or whatever it was 9. Now we have 13 this week. And obviously it will vary with the judges, but you know, we just want to get, if each kid can get a 9, then we don't have to borrow that 9.4 to cover that 8.6 and bring that up to a 9. So we're trying to get the kids to be accountable for their own score so that they don't have to borrow from somebody else to be good. So, and that's our philosophy that we've been working hard on. It's like, you need to do your part so you don't take from somebody else.
All right, and then coming up, you have a meet on Thursday. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing getting ready for this meet on Thursday.
We're back to basics. We're just, let's get solid routines in, then work on the pieces that don't look good or that are weaker. So it's fine-tuning what we have, making sure that they get the routines in, get the tumbling to go a little bit higher, a little bit tighter. Bar kids are working on hitting the handstands. So we get to pick on the more intrinsic parts of the routines now, and it's difficult for the kids because they're like, well, wasn't that good enough? And we're like, no, you're here and you need to be here. You know, so it's frustrating probably for the kids more because we're getting pickier about the things that we used to accept. Because before we wanted to get the routine put together so they could get through it. Now we're trying to clean up the routine and make it a quality routine. So we're like, you're good now. Now we want you to get great. So it takes really them letting go of their bad habits and listening to the coaching and going after the little things that we're asking of them, and those will make huge differences in our score.
All right, we have less than a minute left to go. Pertaining to your schedule, sometimes you're on Fridays, sometimes you're on Thursdays, as in this week. How much does that, I guess, hinder the gymnast to not have a consistent practice schedule?
It really messes with our developing weeks, you know, so that we can grow. Because if we don't get 3 days of training in a week, like if we have a meet on Tuesday, we don't want to beat them up on Monday. We come back from the meet on Tuesday, they're exhausted on Wednesday. So we don't get consistency in the training when we have these midweek meets at all. It really wrecks our programming. So if we can have the Friday meets, we practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday is usually a touch day where we come in and visualize and just go to the equipment and maybe brush up 1 or 2 things or whatever, and then compete with fresh bodies on Friday. And if we can have that pattern, it's really easy to work well with the kids. And those 3 days of training at this point, because they are strong and they are confident, we can get a lot done in 3 days. But this chop we've been doing has been really like, oh, now they're tired, now they're fatigued. We can't do that because we just did it. Anyhow, we're poking and hoping and trying to get stuff done, and you know, they're hanging on to their skills, so that's, you know, that's good. And from this point forward, I don't think we have any of the weekday meets now, so we can actually have 3 days of training.
All right, very good. We're going to take a break here on Warrior Report. When we come back, Anna Hiller will join us right after this.
It's time to put up or shut up.
I'm gonna take the slowest car you got, right, and beat you with it.
Oh, Lord! We've got 2 weeks to build this car.
We've got a lot of money on the line. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Is that the hood? I got the baddest ass team it is.
Fastest Cars in the Dirty South. New episode Wednesday at 10 on Motor Trend. Or watch every episode ad-free now on the Motor Trend app.
Perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC. We're brought to you by Cost Cutters of Winona. Anna Hiller joins us. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you're from Kansas. Let's talk a little bit about your time in Kansas before. As Coach said, you know, level 10 is kind of one of the big things in gymnastics, and you're a level 10 gymnast. Tell us a little bit about your history in gymnastics.
Yeah, so
I've competed at the same gym since I was a little girl, level 4, and competed level 10 my senior year of high school. That was pretty much like my peak of gymnastics, I'd say. I did compete at Westerns 2 years in a row. That was pretty fun. And yeah, competing level 10 my last year was a big goal for me, and then obviously to come and do college gymnastics.
All right, so how did Winona State come into the picture? How did you find out about the school?
I was just Googling like Division III gymnastics programs and emailed like every single one of them. I decided to visit Winona State and Eau Claire, visited both of those the same weekend, and Winona State just stood out, felt more like home to me, and yeah, I liked the team. It felt like family.
All right, what does Anna bring to the team from your perspective?
She is just such a positive impact on everybody, and upbeat, fun personality, takes every challenge that I give her to heart. She's just been really fun. I mean, and right from the time I met you, when you came into our gym, it felt like you were one of ours right away. I mean, that was like, we need you here because you belong here. You just felt like you mixed in with the girls so easily, and you were just so fun and upbeat that I knew that we wanted you here. And it's been, I've been proven right time and time again.
All right, well, looking at your bio, the first line from last year was a major, or 2 years ago, was a major contributor as a freshman, competing on bars, beam, and vault in all 9 meets. Tell us about that transition from club gymnastics to college and how you made that jump as a freshman and what that was like.
I didn't really feel like it was that big of a difference. Also because in club you compete all 4 events, so competing 3 events was like pretty normal. It's kind of nice having 1 event off every meet. But competing every week, that's a big transition, and competing in like a team atmosphere is way different. In club, you're only about yourself and you only affect yourself, so it's a lot harder to, like, when you do mess up, like, you're affecting the whole team, you're not just affecting yourself. So I think that was like the biggest transition, and it just made like your routine that much more important.
All right, well, you're listed as an all-arounder, but have you done all-around yet at Winona State?
I've competed 1 meet all-around, and it was an exhibition meet, so not really, but yeah, I get hurt every time I try to do all-around.
Okay, can you walk us through maybe what some of those injuries are?
I've hyperextended my knee 3 times, hurt both my ankles last year, and just sprained my ankle a couple weeks ago, so.
Wow, so how do you bounce back from that?
Well, I just try to do as much as I can. Obviously, see the trainers every time I do get hurt. And I mean, every injury I can still do bars, so I still do bars every practice, still compete bars. But yeah, just do whatever I can to help my team.
All right.
Now, we certainly would like to get her as an all-arounder, and we've had 2 years, 3 years that we've really been pushing for this. And it is always, we're warming her up for the meet that she's going to do all around, and she does a vault and she pinches her ankles and we have to pull her off an event. So it's been really frustrating because we know that she could be a solid all-arounder, and there's just kind of a thrill in college if you can do 4 events and do them well, which she's capable of. So before her career is over, we will get her healthy enough and have the gods not pick on her and see what she does in all around. But the 3 events she does give us are just really remarkable.
All right. Well, you were 3rd on the bars on the last meet. Tell us what you need to do in the practice this week to get ready for Thursday.
I would just say more numbers. Last week we didn't have a lot of practice, so it was hard to get more numbers. But yes, focus on like the little things like handstands, sticking dismounts, and yeah, just it all coming together in one routine is very important.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and good luck on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching Warrior Report. We'll see you next week here on HBC TV 25.
This is one of my last chances to do this. I'm going to go ahead and work this year myself. I know this goal's where I'm digging, so that's where I'm going to go. Let's go! Yeah! Get out of here. Oh, my God! Dustin!
Gold Rush Whitewater premieres Friday, November 8th at 10 on Discovery.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price. Perfect. Is always in style. at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-60